Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. It is I, your host, Mr. Sean, and today we're doing a versus list. So what this is going to be is we're going to be having a list of 5 duos, and they're going to pit them against each other. I'm going to tell you which one I think is better. And what's the theme of it? Well, it's superheroines. And the specific thing is these are ones who are kind of analogous of each other, whether that be they are the same character in, they are a similar character, but one is the Marvel and one is the DC version, or they could even be similar versions of characters within the same comic line that kind of just serve the same purpose, have the same power set, and I'm going to let you know which one do I think is the superior character. And we're not just going off of looks here, guys. All right, first of all, let me get that out of the way. This is going to be who is truly a better character within the narrative of the comic book universe they inhabit, and that's what today is going to be. There's going to be five matches, and I'm going to let you know for each one. Now, before we get into that, please do consider becoming a member here on the channel or a patron over on Patreon. Please consider heading over to eBay and buying one of my custom superhero miniatures. Also, guys, we do have an official merch store now over on Fourth Wall. You can see some of the items probably below the video right now, as it should be that way. We've got shirts, we've got hats, we've got notebooks, stickers, mugs. We even have bikinis, oddly enough, if that's your thing. And I would love it if you'd check them out, maybe even buy one. And with that being said, let's get to our first matchup. Our first matchup today is Enchantress versus Enchantress? That's right, guys. Both Marvel and DC have supervillain characters, both named Enchantress. Let's learn about them. First up, Marvel's Enchantress, real name Amora, is an Asgardian who premiered in Journey into Mystery number 103 back in 1964, and she is an adversary of Thor. In her first appearance, she tried and failed to seduce Thor away from Jane Foster. Now, in the comics, she is assisted by a powerful minion, Scourge, the Executioner. Basically, they took her relationship with Scourge and got rid of her and put in Hela in the Thor Ragnarok movie. So originally in the comics, the team up is of Enchantress and the Executioner. Now they are villains. They join up in the comics. They are exiled from Asgard after constantly trying to, the Enchantress keeps trying to seduce Thor and things like that. Eventually they are exiled from Asgard and they join Heinrich Zemo's Masters of Evil and have several adventures against the Avengers. Now, the Enchantress, as I said, is an Asgardian, so she has superhuman strength, speed, stamina, and durability, but she does prefer to avoid physical conflict. She is a very powerful magic user, and she possesses an innate capacity to manipulate ambient magical energy and has honed this through lots of practice. She's able to fire energy bolts, she can teleport, and even make barriers, cast illusions, conjure, transmute, telekinesis, time disruption, mind switching, and mind control. She has used her sorcery to enhance her natural beauty, and she can enchant her lips so that kissing virtually any man makes them her slave for about a week unless she kisses them again. This is her big thing. She is a seductress. But what about DC's Enchantress? Well, the Enchantress from DC Comics, real name June Moon, was a freelance artist who was invited to a costume party at an old castle and stumbled upon a secret chamber where an unknown magical being empowered her to fight an evil presence within the castle. Now, by saying the words "the Enchantress," her appearance changes from the blonde-haired June to the black-haired and costumed Enchantress, and she defeats a Minotaur creature from a tapestry. Soon after, she defeats a monster at Cape Kennedy and a mirage of a demonic creature that was manipulated by another villain. Now, in her next appearance, she is a misguided character fighting Supergirl, who prevents her from gaining omnipotent magic power and canceling all other superpowers on Earth. Now, her villainous side takes over after this, and the Enchantress then continues her career as a member of the Forgotten Villains, and a part of an army of supervillains during Crisis on Infinite Earths, the big crossover event. She would later be recruited into Task Force X, but that soon became known as the Suicide Squad. She would do that to try and keep her villainous side in check. Again, she was the main antagonist in the Suicide Squad movie. And while a lot of other things happen in the Enchantress's story, ultimately she is a magic user. She is a very powerful magic user, considered to be one of the most dangerous magical practitioners and threats to the superhero community, but ultimately it's a lot of her struggling with her evil side and being a member of the Suicide Squad, trying to keep that in check. And because of these things, I've got to give the win in this situation to Marvel's Enchantress. It's a woman who is empowered, she goes after what she wants, and she's not afraid of, her darker side. I just think ultimately that is a more compelling character, even if the Enchantress, at least in a lot of ways, is more motivated by, I guess, trying to get a man than, enjoying evil. But I like the idea of the empowered woman trying to manipulate the big, strong oath of Thor. It's just a better story, in my opinion, than someone who's just always worried about their magical dark side. That's played out. So our first win goes to Marvel's Enchantress. Next up, we have Kitty Pryde versus Jubilee, both from the Marvel X-Men comics. While these two characters don't have similar powers, and in fact they are members of the same team, throughout their run, they have filled a similar purpose, kind of a kid sister to the X-Men, and even more of a daughter figure to the character Wolverine. And while they did this at different time periods within the comics, both have kind of been compared as the X-Men needs a kid sister character. And today we're going to see which one's better. First up, we have Kitty Pryde, whose codename is started as Sprite, later became Shadowcat. She has had a host of others, but those are the two main ones. She first appeared in the Uncanny X-Men number 129 in January of 1980 and was created by legendary X-Men writer Chris Claremont. Now, fun fact, Kitty Pryde was introduced into the X-Men title as a result of Marvel Comics' editorial directorate. They dictated that the series needed to depict a school for mutant children. Because while the series had originally started back in the 70s as one depicting 5 teenage mutants learning how to use their powers in the guise of a school and a team, it had kind of gone away from that, and the characters were adults at this point, both the original X-Men and the ones brought in over time. Now, while Kitty was originally put in as the little sister of the group, she would go on to become a powerful mutant in her own right, even leading several teams, including the X-Men, at one point or another. Now, as to her powers, well, Kitty is a mutant with the ability to phase through solid matter by passing her atomic particles through the spaces between the atoms of the object through which she is moving, so she's used this to great effect. Now, this phasing ability, as she calls it, can even be passed on to other things and people that she is touching. She can even use this to interfere with electronical systems by disrupting the flow of electrons from atom to atom when she phases through, and this includes bioelectric systems like living bodies she can use to knock people out. She is also very skilled in hand-to-hand combat and can use her powers in conjunction with this. Actually, one of her greatest feats of all time was when a large bullet-like structure was fired at the Earth that would have completely destroyed it. She actually caused it to phase through the entire planet, and it rocketed her off into space, and she used so much power she for a while was unable to unphase, and but eventually she did get back to her normal self. But it was just a really cool, she literally saved the Earth. But how does Kitty Pryde stack up against Jubilee? Well, Jubilee, real name Jubilation Lee, she was introduced to the X-Men in 1989, so almost a full decade after Kitty Pryde. She would officially join the X-Men in the 1990s, and her character seems very much to just be like the new kid version character X-Men, but for the 1990s, depicted as a typical 90s mall brat. I mean, her origin reveals her, running away from an orphanage and to live and hide in the Hollywood Mall. I mean, that's a very 90s-esque backstory if I've ever heard it. While she would be a staple on the X-Men's Blue Team, also would later join Generation X, unlike Kitty, Jubilee never really emerged beyond the kind of kid sister or Wolverine sidekick mentality of her portrayal. Her powers include the ability to generate pyrotechnic energy plasmoids from her hands, which these are called fireworks, and, you know, she's able to control these explosions, but it definitely just looks like she's shooting fireworks from her hands. She would lose this power during decimation, but they would then later she would become a vampire when she was infected by a bioengineered vampire virus. And this is one of those cases somewhat of the girlfriend in the refrigerator trope, where her being infected with this, was like Wolverine's reason to go after these vampires. So unlike Kitty, Jubilee has never really come into her own as a character. One point of interesting note that both of these characters also have in common is both were kind of the central protagonist, I would say, or at least the focus protagonist of two separate X-Men shows. Both Kitty Pryde was the central protagonist of it was a pilot, but it never actually came to never actually became a full series. It was called Pride of the X-Men. I mean, her name was right in it, and that pilot would go on to be the inspiration for the X-Men arcade cabinet, even though Kitty Pryde was not a character you could play as within that, especially because in said show, she was just learning how to use her powers, and we only really got one episode of it ever. Likewise, in the original, X-Men series, the one from the 90s, Jubilee was heavily featured. She was actually the first you actually meet her before you even meet the X-Men, and then she joins the X-Men, and she is a pivotal character, even going now into X-Men 97, the follow-up sequel. She is still a pivotal character. So both of these two were a way to have younger audiences introduced to and identify with the X-Men as a team, both very important roles. But due to the fact that Kitty Pryde has kind of come out as a character in her own right, as opposed to simply the X-Men's little sister character, I have to give the win in this case to Kitty Pryde. Up next, guys, we have Black Cat from Marvel Comics versus Catwoman from DC Comics. And this one's going to be a much shorter entry, guys. All right, so both Black Cat, Felicia Hardy, Catwoman, Selena Kyle. Both, Catwoman, again, was the one that came out first as a cat burglar with a criminal father, kind of wealthy socialite character who's also a love interest for Bruce Wayne. Selena Kyle is as much a love interest for Bruce Wayne as Catwoman is for Batman, even though they are many times on opposite sides of the law. Catwoman has since become more of an anti-hero than a villain. Likewise, basically a carbon copy made for Spider-Man, Felicia Hardy, aka Black Cat, had a cat burglar as a dad. She is the on-again, off-again potential love interest for Spider-Man and Peter Parker, basically trying to potentially lure him away from his quote-unquote true love, Mary Jane Watson. Ultimately, there's no comparison here, guys. Catwoman is the original. Black Cat is a cheap copy. This win goes to Catwoman. Alright guys, our fourth matchup, we have Magik from Marvel Comics versus Raven from DC Comics. Two vastly powerful characters who use magic and other abilities while at the same time fighting against their demonic dark side. Now, Magik, whose real name is Ilyana Rasputina, first appeared not as Magik, but as a more of a plot point in Giant Size X-Men #1 all the way back in 1975, where her older brother Colossus, his powers were revealed when he saved her from being run over by a tractor. Now, she would not appear as Magik until 1983, again, almost 10 years later. Originally just known as a background character, literally known as Colossus's little sister, she was actually ended up being taken to a paranormal dimension called Limbo, where she aged 7 years and became a sorceress and developed the mutant ability to create teleportation disc. Now, this was done in 1982, the year before she first appeared as Magik in the limited series Ilyana and Storm. and this chronicled her years in limbo. After aging up, getting her powers, and returning to Earth, even though no time on Earth had actually passed since her kidnapping, she had aged, of course, 7 years, she would go on to join the New Mutants, which was the young X-Men team. Magik, throughout her time in the comics, has been kidnapped, she has died, she's been resurrected, she's been possessed, she's been the ruler of hellish dimensions, she's been a valiant member of the X-Men, she's even been a host of the Phoenix Force, and overall is a huge example of the overcoming trauma archetype within storytelling, as few characters in the X-Men comics have experienced such real trauma as Magik. But on the other hand, how does that stack up against Raven's story? Now, Raven, which that is her actual name, though her human alias is that of Rachel Roth, was first brought into the comics in DC Comics Presents number 26 in October of 1980. She is the daughter of the powerful demon Trigon and a human named Arella. She possesses a supernatural lineage that grants her remarkable abilities as an empath. She can sense emotions and manipulate her soul self, which takes the form of her namesake, for various purposes. Now, despite her lineage and the ominous predictions associated with her connection to Trigon, Raven has become a prominent member of both the Teen Titans and later the Titans, who she sees as her family and her friends. Again, making her debut in DC Comics Presents number 26 in the special insert, The New Teen Titans number 1, she appeared to recruit superheroes to fight her father Trigon, and while she initially approached the Justice League for help, but they refused her on the advice of Zatanna, who sensed her demonic parentage. In desperation, she reformed the Teen Titans as the New Teen Titans to fight her father. This team consisted of Robin, Kid Flash, Wonder Girl, Starfire, Cyborg, and Beast Boy. Like Magik, Raven has gone through a lot. She has been imprisoned, she has been killed, she has been resurrected, she has this horrible prophecy that she will one day help her father rise to power that she fights against constantly. Now, we've talked about Raven's ability to manipulate her soul self, but she possesses a profound mastery of the mystic arts, which are then intertwined with this soul self. Her sorceress abilities grant her a diverse range of powers, including teleportation, manipulation of shadows, telekinesis, hypnosis, and proficiency in chaos magic. Chaos magic is a form of sorcery within the DC universe that enables practitioners to perform magical feats without adhering to specific systems such as incantations or chants. So, both of these characters are very similar, I would say. They're both characters that have a deep connection to a family member within the comics, in one case being a brother, the other one being a demonic father, though Magik also does have connections to a kind of demonic father figure, even if it is a bit abusive father figure, but they both also have that kind of standoffish personality of, you wouldn't understand, you haven't been through what I've been through, that makes them kind of a prickly character that I think speaks to a lot of fans. But if I had to pick one, while both have made appearances in other media, Raven being a main character in the Teen Titans cartoons, most recently Magik was in not only the New Mutants movie, but also in the Midnight Suns video game. If I had to pick one, because they are both excellent characters, I would say that Raven is the better character simply because she has been better utilized over the years, while in many ways it can seem almost like the direction Marvel took Magik is in direct relation to make her the quote-unquote Raven of the X-Men. So while they're both great characters, I will have to say, by just a thin margin, Raven gets the win here. Guys, I do so hope you're enjoying this content today. It's a little different than the stuff I've done before, but I do want to start doing more comic book content, mainly because this occurred to me just now, because I'm dumb, but I sell custom miniatures of comic book characters, and if I want to increase my business, which was the original point of this channel, I should make stuff that is going to be watched by comic book fans, don't you think? But again, don't worry, it's not all going to be comic book stuff going forward. We still got our Lost Media, and Mondays are still kind of a wild card. But anyway, guys, if you enjoy this kind of stuff and you'd like your own custom pieces of superhero miniaturedom, you can check out my eBay, or you can reach out to me. Links to my email are in the description. I would be happy to do a commission, whether you want a repaint, whether you want a character in a better pose, in a costume that they haven't made, or if you have an OC that you'd like to see brought to life. I would be happy to do that for a commission, guys. My price is very reasonable. But with that being said, let's get to our final lineup today. Alright guys, and our final matchup today, Jean Grey and Emma Frost, both from the Marvel X-Men series. Both are powerful telepaths, both have led the X-Men in their own right, both have been romantically involved with the character Cyclops, to the point where they really do have a bit of a rivalry of sorts, both when one was a hero and one was a villain, and even during their time when they are both heroes. And fans are just as divided and heated about who is better. And here's my thoughts on it. Now, Jean Grey was first introduced in The X-Men #1 in 1963 as a founding member of the X-Men team alongside Cyclops, Beast, Angel, and Iceman. Originally given the codename of Marvel Girl, she was created by the legendary Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. She was the sole female member of the original team, and initially, while she merely possessed the ability of telekinesis, she would later be granted the power of telepathy. Under the authorship of Chris Claremont, in the 1970s, Jean Grey underwent a significant transformation from being the X-Men's weakest member to its most powerful. She's the focal point of both the Phoenix Saga and the Dark Phoenix Saga, which is one of the most influential comic book storylines ever. Again, her powers include things like astral projection, telekinesis, telepathy, empathy, and as a host of the Phoenix Force, cosmic pyrokinesis, matter manipulation, resurrection, teleportation, and virtual immortality. Another notable thing about the character is, one, her relationship and marriage to Cyclops. Also, this whole, fans of the X-Men or even just the movies or cartoons would know that there was a bit of a love triangle where, while she was in love with Cyclops, Wolverine was desperately in love with her, and this created a lot of tension within the team and served as a very human and a very emotional background story. It wasn't just all about the fighting. The X-Men were a family, and there was trouble within that family. She is such an amazing character. There honestly is no X-Men without Jean Grey. But then again, how does that stack up to Emma Frost? Well, Emma Frost, known also as the White Queen, first appeared in the Uncanny X-Men #129 in 1980, literally in the same issue that Kitty Pryde premiered in. She premiered as a member of the Hellfire Club, which was a hedonistic mutant society that sought to manipulate the Phoenix for their own ends. Dressed in white thigh-high boots, a corset, a fur-lined cape, and essentially just lingerie, she certainly made an impact on comic readers at the time. Like Jean Grey, she is a powerful telepath. She has the abilities of mental sedation, paralysis, and suggestion. She can generate psionic blasts, shielding, and lightning. She can read minds and even control them, create telepathic illusions, induce pain, astral project, inhibit other powers, wipe memories. She can even shapeshift into an organic diamond form that gives her super strength, durability, and stamina, making her nigh invulnerable and immune to psychic infiltration, though in this form her psychic powers are greatly diminished, and she also is heavily skilled in hand-to-hand combat. While initially a foe of the X-Men, she would later go on to join the team and even lead a team of young mutants alongside longtime X-Men member Banshee called Generation X before actually officially joining and leading the X-Men. Now, during this tenure, she would actively pursue Cyclops, who at the time was still with Jean Grey, even so much as getting him to psychically cheat on Jean with him. And, while that might seem, hey, it's only in the mind, when you're dealing with powerful psychics, it's pretty much the same thing. Now, Jean Grey would eventually die, and Emma would then become involved with Cyclops fully, even becoming married to him. Emma would even go on to become a host for the Phoenix Force herself, much like her rival, Jean Grey. Emma's story is one not only of empowerment, but of redemption, of self-determination, and making your own way in a world that is dominated by those, especially men, who would control or manipulate you. And in fact, she is the one instead doing the manipulating and coming out on top. So which one do I think is better? Well, in all honesty, guys, there's just something about a sadistic woman. I cannot deny that. But the thing is that Jean Grey, as powerful as she is, as important as she has always been portrayed as the girl next door, someone to be protected, someone to be saved, while Emma is portrayed as the OG boss bitch, making her own way, calling her own shots, and going after whatever she wants. And because of that, this win has to go to Emma Frost, the White Queen. And that's our list today, guys. I do really hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comics which of my decisions do you not agree with? Which one did I make the call that this one is the better character and you're like, no, absolutely not? Do you think Magik's better than Raven? Do you think that Jubilee is hands above Kitty Pryde? Are you a Black Cat fan over Catwoman? Do you think that DC Enchantress is where it at, or that I did Jean Grey dirty? Any of these, let me know where you disagree with me. Again, this is not an echo chamber. This is not a hive mind. I want to know your honest opinion. Also, guys, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Please click that like button. And again, please check out my custom miniatures and let me know if there's anything you'd like to see or anything you'd like to commission. Also, again, we have our merch store, and we also have Patreon patronships, as well as you could become a channel member if you want to support the channel. Until next time, I'm Mr. Sean. This is Mr. Sean Productions, and I want you to stay Excelsior, and Alpha Great Day, and an even beta tomorrow. Bye-bye.